One fateful day, while mindlessly scrolling through TikTok, I stumbled upon a shocking revelation: my husband had a secret second family. The discovery shattered me, but instead of confronting him immediately, I resolved to devise a plan fueled by bitter revenge. With meticulous precision, I executed my scheme, ensuring that he learned a harsh lesson he wouldn't soon forget. It's been nearly 2 weeks since my world was turned upside down, and the calm with which I recount this tale belies the storm of emotions I've navigated. My name is Rosa, and for 21 years I was the wife of Dan, a man I believed was committed to our shared life and the family we built together. Dan and I have 2 daughters. We had weathered the storm of losing our eldest son 10 years ago, emerging, I thought, stronger and more united. Yet, beneath the surface of our seemingly happy life, Dan harbored secrets that would unravel the fabric of our marriage. The discovery of this secret was accidental as it was shocking. One day, I was casually scrolling through TikTok and landed on a video of a woman sharing her recipes. In the background, there was a man, his back to the camera, but looking closely, I knew it was unmistakably Dan. It turned out my husband had been in what seemed like a committed relationship with another woman. I knew my husband, every line of his back, and even the same clothes he wore while at our house. So I delved into her posted videos, hoping to gather evidence confirming my suspicion that she was indeed involved with my husband. I continued to monitor him closely, scrutinizing his every move, but he appeared normal. It was now evident to me that he had mastered the art of infidelity. Whenever he went on his work trips, the woman would post videos claiming she was preparing a special meal because her man was returning from his trip. As she plated the food, I recognized his hands, their appearance, and the peculiar way he held cutlery, almost like a Neanderthal discovering forks and knives. The TikTok videos showed me that their relationship wasn't just a fleeting appearance, it was evidence of a whole other life he led with this other woman, who I came to learn her name was Salam, and had 3 sons. They were playing happy families in every sense, save for the lie that underpinned their existence. I couldn't believe my husband, who was now despicable in my eyes, had been seeing Salam for 3 years. I still can't fathom how he managed to maintain an entire relationship on the side as I thought we were happy. Dan constantly professed his love for me and always brought gifts from his work trips. Our sex life was fulfilling, with intimate encounters occurring 4 to 6 times a week when he was home. We communicated regularly, so this affair that had been going on for a long time came as a shock to me. When I found out about the affair, we were about to celebrate our 22nd anniversary, and it was Dan's turn to plan it since we took turns every year. I was even aware he had been organizing an extravagant party for us. So I repeatedly asked myself, why was he cheating? I was filled with anger and uncertainty, unsure of what actions to take. I believed we were content. I thought he loved our little life. I was completely devastated and heartbroken, and decided to teach him a lesson. The next few weeks after I discovered the affair were a roller coaster of emotions. I managed to secure the services of an excellent divorce lawyer who advised me not to reveal my knowledge of my husband's affair. Finally, a few days later, I received the green light to proceed. The moment I decided to confront Dan, I was armed with a resolve steeled by betrayal and the unwavering support of my divorce lawyer. As I presented the evidence of his affair, his initial reaction was one of staunch denial. "Rosa, you're seeing things that aren't there." "This is insane," Dan said, his voice a mixture of disbelief and frustration. But I persisted, laying out the online posts and the videos his mistress made and the photographs taken by my investigator, piece by damning piece. With each new evidence, his denials grew weaker, his excuses more desperate. "How could you even think I'd do something like this?" he continued, but the evidence was irrefutable. Eventually, the facade crumbled, and he admitted to the affair. Yet, even in confession, he attempted to manipulate the narrative. "It's not what you think, Rosa. You're blowing this out of proportion," he tried to explain, his words twisting the knife deeper. I stood my ground, countering his every attempt to distort the truth. "No, Dan. I've seen enough. The truth is right here in every message, every photo," I said, my voice unwavering. The argument spiraled, hours turning into what felt like an eternity as we went back and forth, him trying to justify his actions, me refusing to let him rewrite our reality. By morning, he attempted a different tactic, hoping perhaps to appeal to my softer side. "Please, Rosa, don't let this be the end of us. I'm begging you, find it in your heart to forgive me," he pleaded, the smell of breakfast wafting through the air, a peace offering I couldn't accept. "I can't, Dan. I want a divorce," I replied, my decision clear and final. His reaction was immediate, tears giving way to anger. "You're heartless. An unforgiving woman," he accused, the words cutting deep but not swaying my resolve. He left soon after, taking his things to his parents' house as I had asked him to leave. His departure marked the end of our shared life and the beginning of my journey toward reclaiming my independence and dignity. While Dan was visiting his parents, I made a visit to his mistress' house. My sister accompanied me but waited in the car, and surprisingly, she welcomed me in without much astonishment. I had suspected she knew about his marital status beforehand, but I still harbored some doubt and gave her the benefit of the doubt. Walking into her home, the air was thick with anticipation of the confrontation to come. Salam, with an air of gloating superiority, wasted no time in revealing the depth of her involvement with my husband. "Rosa, he's utterly in love with me. You simply couldn't give him what he needed. He's been the perfect partner. even bought this house and car for me and the boys. We are also trying to have our baby," she boasted, her tone dripping with condescension. I stared at her, disbelief and anger mingling as she continued to say, "Well, let's be honest here. If you weren't so lazy and a gold digger, maybe he wouldn't have strayed. Maybe if you were more submissive, he wouldn't have looked elsewhere. So, you think being the other woman in a deceitful affair makes you special?" I retorted, the sting of her words fueling my resolve and calling me lazy. "I've been the backbone of our business. I'm the one taking care of our children and managing our home. I work hard and earn more than him." Before I could continue, Dan burst in, his face a mix of anger and desperation. He had been calling me severally, so I texted him that I was at his mistress' home. Dan and Salim argued, and he told her, "Don't talk to Rosa like that. You're screwing up everything and ruining the chance of me saving my marriage." Salim fired back, undeterred. "You said she was out of the picture, that it was us now." Her voice was a mix of betrayal and accusation, aimed squarely at Dan. At that moment, amidst their chaotic argument, I found a sense of vindication. "You two are perfect for each other," I said, my voice laced with scorn as I turned to leave, laughter escaping me at the absurdity of the laughter. After months in court, the day arrived when the judge was to give his ruling. I recall standing in the courtroom, the weight of years of betrayal and deceit heavy on my shoulders, as I listened intently as the judge delivered the verdict. The culmination of months of legal battles had led to this moment. With a mixture of relief and triumph, I heard the judge decree that I would gain possession of our home, half of our business, and reimbursement for the substantial sums my husband had siphoned from our company to spend on his mistress. It was a bittersweet victory, tinged with the pain of betrayal and the realization of the extent of his deception. Yet, as the judge's words settled in, I felt a surge of empowerment coursing through me. This was my moment of redemption, my opportunity to reclaim what was rightfully mine. In the aftermath of the court ruling, my husband was forced to relinquish his shares of the business to me as he couldn't reimburse the funds he had stolen to fund his affair. This move made me the sole owner. It was a stark reminder of the consequences of his actions, a fitting punishment for his betrayal, and a joyous revenge for my unfaithful husband. As I stood amidst the wreckage of our marriage, I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction knowing that justice had been served. This legal victory was more than just a settlement, it was my retribution, my way of reclaiming control over my life and moving forward on my own terms. Dan's betrayal, while a scar on my heart, did not define me. It propelled me to fight back, to reclaim what was mine, and to emerge victorious. This was my revenge on my unfaithful husband, a testament to the saying that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. My teenage daughter has been pushing my buttons when it comes to her new stepmother, but this time she went too far. My wife, her stepmother, usually buffers her when it comes to me dealing out punishment. However, her latest actions forced my hand. Hi everyone, my name is Tom and my wife Mia and I have been together for 3 years. This is the story of how I learned the hard way that my teenage daughter needed firmer consequences after she did something I just couldn't forgive. So on this fateful day, as the clock struck 8 p.m., my wife's 42nd birthday celebration was in full swing, laughter filling our home, a stark contrast to the storm brewing under the surface. Harper, my 17-year-old daughter from a previous marriage, had been on thin ice with Mia, but when she asked if she could join the festivities, my wife met the request with optimism. What you need to understand is that my second wife is a wonder to behold. She's forgiving, loving, kind, warm, understanding, considerate, caring, and so much more. This might be strange for a father to say, but those traits were something she didn't share with her stepdaughter. Harper seemed to lean more toward her mother's character, vindictive, condescending, argumentative, unforgiving, sometimes cruel, and more all the traits that caused me to divorce her mother. Little did we know, the evening was about to take a turn straight out of a suspense novel. After enjoying a delicious dinner, I noticed Mia's smile had faded, replaced by a look of deep distress, and she was obviously very upset. Concerned, I cornered her in the kitchen amidst the distant chatter of departing guests. "Mia, what's wrong?" I urged, my heart racing with foreboding. Being who she is, my wife tried brushing whatever was under the carpet by pretending it wasn't a big deal, but I knew her. When she twisted the truth, her left eyebrow twitched, and that's exactly what I saw when I held her hands in mine and said, "My love, it's me, your husband. Please tell me what's bothering you so we can fix it. Today's your special day, and I don't want anything negative coming in between that. What happened, babe?" With trembling hands, Mia presented me with Harper's birthday gift for her bra. The room went silent, the gravity of the gesture hitting me like a freight train. The truth was that my darling wife had fought a grueling battle with breast cancer, and this gift was a mocking reminder of her scars, both physical and emotional. I can't believe this," Mia whispered as she broke down crying, tears streaming down her face. Rage coursed through me. I found Harper lounging in the living room, her indifference fueling my fury. "Harper, how could you think this was appropriate?" I demanded, holding up the bra like a piece of incriminating evidence. Harper looked up, her eyes wide with feigned innocence. "Dad, it's just a joke." "Can't you take a joke?" she retorted, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "A joke?" I echoed, incredulous. Mia's cancer was no joke. Our confrontation escalated. The tension was palpable. Harper, unrepentant, stood her ground. In a moment of heated anger, I blurted out the punishment that would change everything. You were looking forward to that car for your 18th birthday. Well, forget it. Not until you apologized to Mia. I insisted. My daughter's reaction was volcanic. She screamed, accused me of favoritism, and stormed out, leaving a trail of shock and bewilderment. The door slammed with a finality that echoed through the silent house. When I looked through the window, I saw Harper sitting on the front porch, busy with her phone. I figured she'd fume a bit and then come back inside. What happened? What did you do? Mia came rushing into the living room after hearing all the ruckus. Don't worry about it, my love. Harper just needs to clear her head and she'll come and apologize for what she did, I said. You didn't have to confront her like that. What did you say to make her so angry? My wife asked. I explained the ultimatum I'd given my daughter, but Mia thought it was too harsh, just like she always did whenever I tried disciplining Harper. Checking in on my daughter again, I pulled the curtain back just in time to see her stepping into her stepsister's car before they drove off. It seemed my daughter had decided to spend the night at her mother's place without bothering to discuss it with me. I was annoyed, but decided to let it go as I focused on reassuring Mia that everything would be okay. Boy, was I wrong. Hours later, my phone buzzed relentlessly. Harper's mother, incensed, accused me of taking unreasonable measures over such a small thing. Our heated exchange only deepened the rift, her words a dagger to my already heavy heart. The next morning, with the house eerily quiet, I replayed the events in my mind. Was I too harsh? The question nagged at me, a relentless whisper. Yet standing by Mia and seeing her pain, I felt justified. But Harper's refusal to see the hurt she caused, her dramatic exit, and the ensuing family feud had turned what should have been a joyous occasion into a battlefield. Now, as I lay it all out, raw and unfiltered, I'm left wondering about the fine line between discipline and understanding. Was my decision to withhold Harper's dream gift an act of protection for my wife, or had I let anger cloud my judgment? So I turn to you, dear readers, in a plea for clarity amidst the chaos. Was my reaction to Harper's thoughtless gift justified, or did I cross a line in the sand drawn by family loyalty and love? I patiently await your verdict in the court of public opinion. I, Richard, became a widower and was already the father of a teenage daughter, Amy, now 14. I remarried 5 years ago to Beth, who entered our relationship with 2 daughters, my stepdaughters Chelsea and Jess. Chelsea, who is an adult, while her younger sister is also a teenager, recently ended her engagement with her fiancé Tom, while heavily pregnant, and she's moving in with me, Amy, Jess, and her mother, for a short time. Little did I know that having my 2 stepdaughters living with us would turn into a nightmare. Now, I am very protective of my daughter because I feel like as the last biological parent she has, I have to do the best I can to give her a good start in life. However, her stepsisters are causing havoc for her. At times, the pair have even used my daughter's personal items without asking and left them damaged, or they'd lose the items. I've often spoken up, protecting my daughter, but Beth would step in, claiming I was playing favorites, and she and her daughters end up ganging up on me and Amy. Chelsea has been mentioning wanting more space due to her pregnancy and desire to have more room for her upcoming child, saying to Beth and me, I need a bigger space for your grandchild. We can't both be cramped up with Jess in her tiny room. Amy's is much larger and will do perfectly as my room in a nursery. Of course, my need to protect Amy and knowing how her life had already changed so drastically by losing her mother and now having step-siblings, I wanted to give her something she could hold on to. So I put my foot down about the room and refused to budge. I had a business trip I had to attend, something I couldn't put off despite the anxious knot I felt deep in the pit of my stomach. I would be gone for a whole month for the trip. But being the decent human being I was, I kissed my wife goodbye and hugged both Amy and her stepsisters before being driven by an Uber to the airport. While I was gone, on top of how Jess and Chelsea constantly crossed Amy's boundaries, the pregnant stepsister decided to ignore my decision by taking over my daughter's room. She and her sister moved Amy into the basement behind my back. When I finally returned home, I felt foreboding, and it all made sense when I arrived. Stepping into the house, the air felt charged, heavy with tension that had no place in what was supposed to be our sanctuary. I quickly found my precious baby girl crying in the basement. I was exhausted from my trip, but set all that aside to be there for my child. Concerned, I asked what was wrong, and that's when I discovered the shocking and appalling truth. The bullying has gotten worse, Dad, my baby said between sobs. They forced me out of my bedroom. And when I tried complaining or calling you, Chelsea claimed she had seniority and a greater need for the space due to her pregnancy. I was livid listening to my child pour her heart out, once again receiving the short end of the stick. Being closer in age, Jess is 2 years older. Amy told me that Chelsea's younger sister also often bullied her while I was gone, using derogatory terms about me having a lower income than Beth. What shocked me the most was how Beth could allow her daughters to comfortably occupy the main living spaces while Amy was relegated to the bottommost. The trio had even left my daughter out of family activities, choosing to pretend like she didn't exist. I immediately saw red by how they treated the light of my life and my sense of pride in my daughter. The confrontation with my wife and my stepdaughters was inevitable. The sight of Amy's room stripped of its identity, her personal sanctuary such as her favorite posters and the graphic art that she cherished because it was made by her late mother, was replaced with impersonal nursery items, ignited a fury in me I had seldom felt. Chelsea's insistence on displacing Amy, erasing her presence from her own space, was a betrayal I couldn't overlook. The argument that ensued was heated, their justifications falling on deaf ears. I demanded justice. My ultimatum for Chelsea was that she either vacate Amy's room and restore it as it was, or she leaves the house altogether. Jess's ultimatum was that she must return and compensate Amy for all her ruined belongings, or I would personally take measures to secure my child's possessions. This would include installing a lock on Amy's room to ensure her privacy and security. The aftermath was as tumultuous as the confrontation itself. My mother and sister called me, making accusations, and that added salt to the wound. Their inability to see the harm done to Amy, to understand my protective instinct over her, was disheartening. The prospect of Chelsea sharing the usurped nursery online, seeking validation from strangers for a decision that shattered my daughter's peace, was a bitter pill to swallow. But amidst the chaos, a resolve solidified within me. My role as a father, protector, and guide to my daughter outweighed any societal expectations or familial pressure. The notion of playing favorites, as my family accused, was a misinterpretation of my actions. My responsibility was to safeguard the well-being of my children, ensuring they felt loved, respected, and secure within their home. Amy's resilience in the face of this ordeal, her ability to find solace in the small corner of the basement while her world was being rearranged without her consent, was a testament to the strength and grace I hope to embody for her. My actions, though harsh in the eyes of some, were a declaration of my unwavering support for her, a promise that I would always fight for her corner, no matter the opposition. In the end, it was not about favoritism or societal norms. It was about protecting the heart of our home, ensuring that respect and kindness prevailed over convenience and entitlement. The following day, tensions were still high, but Chelsea and Jess both came to me and asked to have a conversation. "I promised to do better," Richard Jess said, looking solemnly at me. "I am not the one you need to apologize to, Jess." "You really hurt Amy with your behavior," I replied, still seething from the previous day's events. I got up and fetched Amy and Beth, feeling this was a matter the whole family had to face as a unit. "I am sorry for mistreating you," Amy Jess said, barely making eye contact with my puffy-eyed daughter, who appeared to have spent the night crying her eyes out. My child didn't say anything as Chelsea promised to return all of her belongings in her bedroom the same day. I told my wife and stepdaughters that things had to change drastically if we were to continue living together. I informed Chelsea that she had to make a plan about living arrangements soon, as her relocation to stay with us was meant to be temporary. My wife didn't say much this time, but nodded and appeared to side with me. It seems all I had to do all along was stand up fiercely and express my views and boundaries, because they all appeared sincere in doing better. As the dust settles and we rebuild our sanctuary, piece by piece, I hold on to the hope that this ordeal will be a turning point, a lesson in boundaries, respect, and the enduring strength of a father's love.